Hello, my dear audience. In this episode, we're going to Palm Springs to visit one of the smallest and most economic houses by Richard Neutra. The Miller residence was designed for a single woman who wanted a home that looked like a cubist painting by Picasso. Neutra came up with a beautiful, white, minimalist structure placed on a green carpet of grass, strongly contrasting the surrounding desert landscape. Seen from the driveway, the house is enclosed by a few plastered walls that are placed in corners. This is a tribute to the Pueblos, the small rectilinear mud settlements built by the Native Americans, which were the first inhabitants of the Californian desert. This enclosed look is just a fraction of the house, because once we walk to the other side, we see a very transparent look with large floor-to-ceiling windows. The entire home is just a little over 1100 square feet in size, and it was made in 1937 for only $7,500, being a very cheap and modest residence, even for 1930s standards. The structure is a combination of different materials. Only these walls are made of stone. The other walls are supported by a steel skeleton and are made of glass or wood, while the roof is entirely made of wood plates. When we name the functions of the separated spaces, we see that a large part of the floor plan belongs to the carport and living room, as the other rooms are relatively small. From above, we see a floor plan that entirely consists of rectangles. Interesting is that the living room partly functions as a studio, and there is an enclosed porch. There are 2 bedrooms, each with their own bathroom. Let's take a walk through the front door into the studio. This wall is covered with mirrors at the interior side, as well as the inside of the front door. The mirrors were necessary because the commissioner, Grace Lewis Miller, was a teacher in the Manson-Deke therapy, a training method somewhat similar to yoga, where exercises were taught to an individual client in front of a mirror. This also explains the wardrobe that was used by clients to change clothes for a therapy session. The wardrobe also functions as a room divider that separates the studio from the living room. To protect the privacy of the clients, the windows of the studio are made of frosted glass. Once a Manson-Deke therapy session was in progress, a curtain could separate the studio from the actual home, and once the therapy session was finished, the curtain was opened again, re-enlarging the space of the living room. The back wall of the sitting area is placed further towards the street than the wall of the studio. This creates some kind of alcove that enlarges the feeling of intimacy and privacy. It's another brilliant way in which Richard Neutra created multiple spaces in the same room without having any internal walls. There is a porch, but because of the strong winds of the desert, this porch must be enclosed from time to time during heavy weather, making it look like a conservatory. The porch is inspired by the ranches of the Old West, but then in a modernist way. It's a beautiful place where interior and exterior are combined together. When the wind doesn't blow, the windows can slide fully open, and with only a mildly wind, one particular window can be opened to allow a breeze of fresh air that can cool the interior. During nighttime, with low temperatures, the porch can be closed off from the living room by glass sliding doors. From the porch, we step on the lawn, and from there we walk towards the front of the house. Here is a small pond, like a miniature swimming pool, in front of the porch. You can paddle with your feet in the water, but the water also cools the temperature, and sunlight is reflected on the surface and then projected on the ceiling of the porch, which provides extra sunlight, and the movement of the water ripples on the ceiling creates a tranquil effect. Like many Neutra designs, the house has a very clean and transparent look. The thin window frames and large sheets of glass make the interior very bright and creating the illusion of a floating roof, giving the design a lightweight appearance. A typical trademark by Richard Neutra are the aluminum panels at the roof edges. The aluminum reflects the sky, making the lines of the wooden roof to disappear, breaking the shape and giving the house an even more minimalist look. Also typical for Richard Neutra is a series of clever inventions that are tailored for specific customer requirements. One of these inventions is a dressing table in the master bedroom. This table is made of marble and placed between the closet and the internal wall, with two mirrors on both sides and illuminated by the last stained window of the same series of windows from the studio. Another invention is a series of vent holes in the backside of the closet. The smell of sweat from shoes can escape through these vent holes, allowing fresh air in the closets. The bedroom has another enclosed porch, from where you can sit outside while still being protected against the desert winds. Again, this porch has windows that can be opened in various directions. Another clever little invention is a small circular hatch in the kitchen sink. From here you can throw your garbage into a trash can hidden underneath, and through a small door in the outer wall you can take the trash can out. Mrs. Miller had clients who traveled from far and who had to spend the night, so she needed a guest bedroom and a bathroom. She wanted that the guest bedrooms were accessible from outside, so that the clients could spend the night without interfering with the actual home. Clients could walk from the bed to the bathroom across the enclosed porch. Almost every house by Richard Neutra was inspired by traditional Japanese architecture, and of all these designs, the Miller house is possibly the best example. The sliding walls that can transform one space into another and the frosted glass windows that look like rice paper walls are reminiscent of Japanese interiors. The pond close to the windows and the white-grey colors pay tribute to Japanese houses. And even the sleeping couch in the living room is a tribute to the Japanese culture, where there is no clear distinction between the living and sleeping area. Over the years, the Miller house was expanded with a bedroom addition. This extra bedroom has its own bathroom and own front door, making it suitable to be rented out as a living studio or an Airbnb. It's not uncommon for mid-century modernist homes to be expanded, because back in the days, houses were a lot smaller and people were used to live in small spaces. Today, we are all used to more living space. I'm not a fan of additions because it can ruin the original look of the house, but I must confess that this addition is done very well, respecting the spirit of Richard Neutra. A more drastic addition was the placement of a swimming pool on the lawn. This changed the modest character of the house into a more luxurious character. Compared to what we are used to today, this house is not considered to be special or spectacular by most people, but try to imagine how revolutionary this design was back in 1937. The cost-effective building method and sleek appearance were years ahead of its time, and it had a huge influence on the case study movement that started some 10 years later. It proves that Richard Neutra, who is known for his millionaire homes, was also a genius in designing small, low-budget houses. Even today, many designs are inspired by this modernist masterpiece.